How far are you willing to go? The drive, the sweat, the blood, the tears, your determination through the pain and all the suffering, people overlooking you, telling you that you're not good enough. You have to believe that you're great. And with you believing that you're great, anything you want to do, you can achieve. No one can stop you. Only you can stop yourself. Keep driving. Keep uplifting yourself. Keep going. Keep going. Nothing, and no one can stop you. That goal you want, you can achieve it. How you inspire people is going to be up to you. Keep going. Never give up. Never give up. Keep going. Never.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Gotti. And we're here once again on 910 Sports TV. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity because without him would be no us to be able in this great platform. You know what I'm saying? So to my right of me, man, I got my boy, my right hand, one of my other right hand man. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Virginia / North Carolina border himself, coach of the year, coach of the decade, Lamont T. Goins. How you doing, brother?
Hey, listen, Connie, it's always a pleasure to be on, man. And like you said in the intro, we just thank our Lord and Savior for this golden opportunity. And it's always a pleasure to be able to sit across the mic, chopping it up and talking about what's going on in the world of sports. So, hope you're doing well this evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, y'all see, we missing our other brother tonight. He had a family function to go to. So, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna hold it down for him, my brother Jacob. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna hold it down for him tonight. So, you know what I say? We just getting some sports talk. We don't do that as often as we want to. Sometimes we have some of the guests on, but we're gonna get into some sports talk tonight, man. You know, um, I want to start off with this one. I'm gonna start off with
Okay,
this one
go
because it's
ahead.
been bothering me all week long for the last week. This LeBron James, this whole notion that the Lakers are better off without LeBron James. And I said I know, and I heard Colin Cowherd say that that a lot of people get what they call LeBron fatigue. I get it. He's been around 23 years. He has been the most dominant player in the game over the last 15 years or whatever, or one of the most dominant, and still playing at a high level in year 22, 23. We done lost count, whatever it is. But when I watched him the other night against Oklahoma City, I thought I was watching a pro basketball team versus a high school team. It didn't even look like it was close. And I said, the end of the day, yeah, the Lakers start off like 8-3. I said, but who do they play in that 8-3 mind that time frame? Because I guarantee you, LeBron was there and he was 8-3. If y'all would be asking that question, well, the Lakers ain't playing nobody. That's why they 8-3. So now that he's not there, and then Luca, and because think about with Luca, because they said, well, look, should LeBron James come off the bench when he comes back? I said, okay, let's look at this for a second.
Mm,
LeBron James is what they would call a methodical type player. So he needs that first quarter. Sometimes he has those slow starts. So he uses that flow starts that first quarter just to understand the flow of the game, what the other teams want to do, and what we trying to do. And then he'll get everybody involved and get his game going. If you look at a player like Austin Reeves, he's basically the same play. He's like the poor man version of Luka Doncic. They basically do the same thing. They all offensive minded. They don't play a lick of defense. So to me, it would behoove me to bring maybe Austin Reeves off the bench. If he can get 20-25 with the starters, that means he may can get you 25 to 30 with the reserves because you're playing against backups. And he can be like a Jamal Crawford, a
mm.
Lou Williams, a Vinnie Johnson from back in the day type player where he could be instant offense off the bench. And he could still finish games. He just don't have to start. So what's your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, you know what? That's a great call, and I think a lot of times what people they misconstrue is some of the most valuable people on your team is the person coming off the bench. If you could put six players on the floor, or they say he is the sixth starter, that is a role. That person needs to come off the bench. One, change the defense. Two, create instant offense. And I think you called it out. You think about Vinny the Microwave Johnson. back in the day with Detroit, when he came in, that was instant offense. So why are you going to put all of your offense on the floor at one time? Be able to say you hear that horn blow, you look, you say, "Oh my God, here comes Ikon in the ball game. I got to change my defense." But if you got that first guy off the bench and it's just is regular business as usual, I think you need to look at your rotation. I don't think LeBron James should come off the bench. And again, not a slap in the face, but he's not a bench guy. He's got to start. I think you summed it up. He needs to pick and choose one because he's not 25 years old. He needs to be able to say, okay, you know what? Let me get everybody going and then I can get mine. And you summed it up as well, Luca. These guys are ball dominant, and Rob Pelinka knew that when you call Dallas and started this whole trade business. It's not like you were bringing somebody in that could not play without the ball. And you're exactly right. If he doesn't have the ball, he ain't gonna play defense. And you got to figure it out. And Lakers got to have more role players. I think they really messed up right after they come out of the bubble, won that championship when they let couple key defensive guys go, and that's what you got.
Hmm.
How do you play LeBron James at this point in this point in time in his career? Drop him in the low post. Just to have that conversation. Say, hey, we want you to finish this year, go out next year with that long celebration. And do the thing because he's earned that. You let him go
Hmm.
out and get the rocking chairs. You let them go to all of these, marquee places and let the folks celebrate. Because I was thinking about this the other day on the way to work. I was like, man, what is the NBA or what is basketball without LeBron James? For
Hmm.
the last 20 years, it's been LeBron. These guys say, well, he's old. They're just mad that they haven't played at that level. I mean, you think about the money that he spent to keep his body in shape. And I'll just go down this road since I took this exit. Is you think about everything from that guy from the time he stepped on the court till right now. Never in the
Hmm.
news. He's never been okay. He's sitting there with a mug shot like this or doing. I mean, he has been the face of the NBA for 20 years. And people, I mean, what would they say if he'd won a championship at least 10 or 12 times? You no matter
Hmm.
what you do, somebody's always gonna be trying to tear you down. So he's a legend. They need to give him that respect, play him, or go to him and say, what do you think we need to do? And that's what you, and
Hmm.
in my humble opinion, that's what you do with a person like that. You don't sit there and just say, we're going to do this. No, you need to ask him and say, hey, how many minutes do you want to play? What are you looking like? Because, and I've always said this in the NBA, is you have to build a team or you have to build your team to beat anybody in a 7 game series. Because I can roll in on one night and beat you and get on the plane and leave because, people don't realize that those are back-to-back games. And I was looking at the NBA schedule the other day and me and a couple guys was like, hey, let's go to NBA game. I'm like, I'm not going when they play back to back. And they said, why? I
Hmm.
said, because they may not play. I said, so when
Yeah.
you look at that, and I think, I mean, I'm kind of rambling there, but you said it. LeBron has earned that right as the ambassador of the game is to be able to. The front office of the Lakers need to really sit down and say, okay, we do not want you coming off the bench. However, we're gonna drop you down in the low post so you don't have to exert so much and just cut his minutes back. And that's all you got to
Hmm.
do. Don't play him, nonstop, especially early in the season, but pick and choose.
Well, I'll say this. One, I know they say LeBron probably may be back possibly next week or whatever. If I was him, I wouldn't come back till Christmas Day. I'll make my first game the Christmas Day game. Because first of
Hey,
all, the NBA don't really even people don't really watch, people don't really care till Christmas Day.
right.
Players don't even really care to Christmas Day. That's when they start kind of revving up and really playing hard or whatever the case may be. On time, like, well, they put this little cup in, this little mid season cup thing, whatever, beginning of the year, and then I guess players play hard for that, cause for that extra bag, trying to get that extra bag. But other than that, they don't really play hard until and then you savor him. Like you said, to me, he's earned the right. The 22-23 season, he's one of those players that don't supposed to be playing back to backs.
No,
You know what I'm saying? He
absolutely
should
no.
LeBron should not be playing no more than about 50 games a season at this point if he gonna continue to play. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Or whatever.
absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's why when I was looking at because I know he's coming to DC, and we were looking, and I was like, why not, man? I said, first of all, look at the price of the tickets, right? Just because
Hmm.
it's LeBron, I said, but you do. I haven't not ever had the pleasure of seeing him play, but it's a back to back. I mean, they're playing, and then they go into D. I said he may not play. I said,
Not
"Yeah,
no
you don't want to
guarantee.
spend that money, and then he ain't playing, and it's just like, and you go to see him play, and he's not there. So, but yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do. That's a great call. I mean, Pete, they play on Christmas Day because they have to, but you're right. Rest him, and then let him come out. Open that gift on Christmas Day.
Hmm. So what storyline you got? You
I
got
tell
one
you
for me?
what I've been really amazed at, and just it just shows you that sometimes the best players are not who you think they are. And what I'm talking about, let's turn our attention to them Charlotte Hornets. When you take a
Hmm.
look at my guy from Duke, and he's got the Colin, he was on with Flag, yeah, oh dude,
Knipple,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
Knipple. I mean, he's already said. I mean, he's dropped. His shooting on. He's hit almost 33s. He's scoring, at a high clip in the NBA. That just shows you what he could have done at Duke, but it was the Cooper Flag show at Duke.
Hmm.
And I'm not calling nobody out, but I guess I will when I say, okay, John Shire, you the head guy at Duke. You could not tell me that this dude had to play second fiddle, right? He
Hmm.
had to back off, and he couldn't be the guy, but he's in the league right off the rip. And then of course, Flag is struggling. And my thing, and you look back, you knew the kid could play. And so if you knew
Hmm.
the kid could play, why not turn him loose and let him versus everything running through Flag? Flag anytime. Flag never hit a game winning shot when he was at Duke. And when they get up there and they undefeated and they doing their thing and then they lose and you kind of go. So I'm really happy for him, because sometimes guys have to play that second fiddle. But
Hmm.
when I compare them to like the Fab Five, those guys played so well together as freshmen. And I'm going back and some people may say, who's the Fab Five? Well, you know what? That's your homework assignment. But when you look what Duke did and just made everything about Cooper Flag, when you had the talent that Kaepernick had, and he gets to the NBA and this game is made for the NBA. So kudos to him for having the patience and really be able to say, okay, you know what? Because right now, I think he's on pace to be Rookie of the Year, hands down.
Well, you know what's crazy? So Coach K kind of messed this up years ago when he had Zion and R.J. Barrett
Mm,
and Cam Reddish. He got away from who he was as a coach. He pretty much gave surrounded everything around R.J. Barrett and basically Zion. And he like basically said, y'all two, and threw Cam Reddish in there a little bit, but not like he really supposed to, because Cam Reddish kind of got lost in the sauce. He just kind of depended so much on, and really more RJ Barrett, even Zion, because
mm-hmm.
Zion really didn't get the ball as much he should have it do. And then what happened was they ended up not winning the tournament because it became too much of a one man, two man show. Not that Duke basketball where you used to, where it's kind of like all hands on deck. You know what I mean? Like you like how that's how Carolina was, that's how Duke was. If you watch the Carolina years when they won, it was all like all hands on deck. Yeah, you got your superstars, but
Sure.
everybody had to contribute in some form of fashion. You know what I'm saying? And so
Oh,
I think that's kind of. And then you look at Kneppel. When I watched him last year, he actually scared me more times than Cooper Flag did
yes,
because he was the
absolutely.
one hitting the big shots in the big games. Like when Duke played Carolina, it wasn't Cooper Flag that was really dominating us. It was Knuckle. He
Mm-hmm.
was the one getting those big plays and hitting those big shots. So I knew he was going to be something nice or whatever. So, but I'm watching closely, and I said, you know what's crazy? They so hell bent on making Cooper Flag the face of the NBA, and we know why.
Yep.
But that Boozer kid, I hate to say this, that Boozer kid,
He's real. He's
he
real.
might be better than Clark Cooper Flag. But he's getting just enough attention, but not the type of attention that Cooper Flag was getting because they know if they give him too much attention and he gets to the NBA, then all of a sudden, if he take dominate, that's not what they want because
No.
they was gonna put all the eggs in Zion's basket. That didn't work out. Then they said, "Oh, we got us some great white hope." You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
And
But what the problem is that so when he went to Dallas, this is why people think it's rigged. Because he kind of went to the perfect situation, supposedly. You had Anthony Davis he could learn from. He was supposed to have Kyrie Irving there running the show, and you could just throw him in just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And he could kind of thrive, kind of like when Magic went to the Lakers. He was in
right,
the perfect situation. But
right.
then what happened was everybody done got hurt. So
And
now they leaning on this rookie who's not ready.
nope,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, yep.
So,
But
you
but but
know,
but when you call out, and it's funny that you bring up R.J. Davis and Zion and Cam Reddish. I always would say
you talking
in
about
the
RJ Barrett.
yeah, R.J. Barrett, and then I always
Yeah.
would say when they were there, I always thought Cam Reddish was the guy. And I'm like,
Hmm.
they're not playing him the way they need to be playing him. And like you said, he gets lost in the sauce and he has to sit back. But when he got to the NBA, I was so happy that he did the things that he was able to do because just from my eyes, it's just like you said, you get there and then you just to me that's when Duke really started making that shift of not really playing Duke basketball. And then
Yeah.
again, what do those guys
Hmm.
do after the first of the year? They trying to get that. They've already done that, and now they're trying to get that draft choice. And the same thing with the Bougie kids, right? Is what's the media hype gonna be around these guys about mid-season? And you're exactly right. When you set up Flag to send him to Dallas, and he gets there, and you got a solid backcourt, your front court's intact, and when all that comes crumbling down, now all right, young man, now you got to play back to back. You're playing against
Hmm.
bigger, stronger guys that's just as good as you are. The struggle is real. And then now it's just like, oh man, he's not as good. Okay, yeah, because it's a different game. The game is played well above the rim. And
Hmm.
it's almost like I hear Jeff Capel talk about this all the time. It's just like the freshmen hit that wall, right? Because by the
Yeah.
time they get to January or mid January, man, they've traveled, they played more games they ever have in high school, and they hit that wall. And Flag is getting it right off the rip because you invest and he's the number one guy. But I never thought he was a great shooter. I mean, he did his things going to the basket and that way, yeah, because he's 6'8" and whatever he is. But from outside when the game was on the line at Duke, he can never deliver. And that's what I think. And again, wish him well and not saying that he
Yeah.
won't be good. But when you get a guy and the teammates and this guy, think about every time Cullen was getting his call on the way home and going, man, I'm just as good as he is, but he's getting all the ink and he's getting this and
Hmm.
I mean, you take Flag off that team and let Cullen do his thing, they might have done more than what people thought they could have done.
And the thing about it is too is I kind of feel sad bad for Cooper Flag because they put all this hype around him, and to me, I just and people thought I was hating. I said I don't care if you came from Duke, Carolina, Timbuktu. I just don't see what y'all see in him yet. He's a
Right.
great player, but I don't
Correct.
see transcendent. I don't see LeBron. I don't see Zion. I don't see, certain players where you've seen them in college and you thought, oh, they're gonna be the one when they get to the NBA. I don't see that yet. I just see another great player. And the thing about it is also being a rookie, what's gonna make him hit the wall is because he's getting everybody's best shot.
That
When you're a rookie and they hyped you up to be the next big best thing in the NBA,
you
now you got to go against everybody's best player. So every best team, best defender, you know what I'm saying, best athlete, whatever is going to be gunning for you. You
yep.
know what I'm saying, every night. So because even you watch Wemby his first year, he has struggled because he was getting everybody's best shot. Now you start to see him come around a little bit more. He still need to improve on some stuff, but you can start to see it starting to
It's
he's starting
starting.
to
Oh
really
yeah.
get going now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it takes some time when you do this. But if you look at the Boozer kid at Duke, he's bigger. He look like he may be a little bit quicker. He might, you know what I'm saying, like he might be stronger than Cooper Flag. But for whatever reason, he didn't get that same hype coming out of high school.
No,
You
no.
know what
I
I'm saying?
mean,
The boy put up what 35 the other night. You know what I'm saying? Like it was nothing. And I'm gonna tell you another player. They want to kind of sleep on Caleb Wilson. I don't watch Caleb Wilson play a couple times. Caleb
hey,
Wilson,
hey.
okay.
He's Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I know they played North Carolina Central last night, and hats off to Coach Lavelle Moton. And just a little quick side note: they had a little kid on as a special assistant coach. He's little kid has cancer, and so he was there as his special assistant coach. And I know Hubert Davis presented the little fellow a game ball and also a jersey. So just hats off for the humanitarian act with that. But you're exactly right. I mean, Wilson is in that game last night. He could go for 35 every time he's on the floor. And you can just see when
Hmm.
he's in the air, how he controls his body. He understands the game, the pick and pop, the rolling without the basketball. If I had to pick somebody right now as the GM, it's him, hands down,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
hands down.
and the thing about it, he now, you say that one game, but he kind of did his thing against Kansas. He dominated Kansas,
Oh yeah,
so he already dominated a top competition. But you could just see, and he jumps on the ball for loose balls and all that. So like Kelly Wilson is not a selfish player at all. And
no,
I even like that point guard that we got. He just because last year, the other point guard we had last year? He used to drive me crazy with the turnovers. I said I've
oh
never
that
seen
He,
a
I
point.
always used to say that. I said he played like a JV ball player. He transferred to what is that, Michigan? Not Seth Trimble, what Cadeau, Ellie
Cadeau, yeah,
Cadeau,
Ellie
yeah,
Cadeau. Oh my God! I said, boy,
just
he played like doggone. He got on blinders because I'm like, how you turn the ball over this much in a game? Like he used to drive me so
yeah,
crazy. I always say he was probably the worst pure point guard because he was supposed to be like a pure point guard, and
yeah.
he was like one of the worst. He was the worst pure point guard that Carolina's ever had.
Yeah, I mean,
That's I
yeah,
just
his game just doesn't transition. Now he might have been great as a practice player, but and that's why I tell people all the time. I say, you got to realize these guys go out and recruit great players. Because they need to practice against another great players. But when you put him in real time game situation, he was. I mean, his game never transitioned into major college basketball. So your assessment on him is exactly right, and I think they'll be fine with Trimble. I watched the game with Trimble the other night, and so I mean, how do you play major college basketball and you take a jump shot and you hit in the backboard, just pure
yeah.
backboard, and you're like, and I'm sitting there watching the game, I'm just like, man, you shooting that like it's me. I mean, you supposed to, I mean, at least give me the rim, give me something, but you hitting the pure backboard, and
You
I
know
think
myself
what's going to
Trimble.
happen, yeah, the other, let's see,
Wow.
let's see, they played Central last night in the game, then they played Radford.
Yeah.
And then it was the game before. It was it the yeah, I think it was the Kansas game. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the
Okay.
Kansas game. And I was just like, dude, what shots are you taking? And it's almost like he once people get going, he seems like he's got to score. Sometimes you don't need to score. As long as
Yeah.
everybody else is rolling, you keep passing the ball and you run the offense. Quit trying to don't put the pressure on yourself. And that's what I've always said about, if you finish the game and you got 2 points and you got the win, take the win and move on.
Well, see, the thing before we move on, I would say this about our team this year. The biggest thing between Carolina this year and probably Carolina the last 2 years, we have big men that play like big men. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because Vesser, he had that rim blocking everything, getting rebounds, defending. You know what I'm saying? Caleb Williams be down that post. Most of 90% of his shots is dunks and layups or whatever. He might take occasional three, but we don't got these soft big men that we had the
Mm-mm.
last couple of years.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
my
I think
God.
that's the biggest difference in that. And
Yes.
then we got a deep roster. We got players that can shoot. And I'm like Shaq. Anytime you got a player on your team with the last name Vitch on the end, then you know they can shoot. You know what I'm saying? So we got the bottom of his kid, and we got the point guard. He can shoot a little bit. We got Johnson Powell, the transfer. So look, we can gel together and come together at the right time. You know what I'm saying? And get that chemistry going. We got a chance to make a deep run in the tournament.
Oh,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? So
I was telling one of the guys earlier today. I said the Duke Carolina matchup will be what it usually is, and that's the game everybody's going to be looking forward to because again, how they did, and of course they cut the season, a couple of games off the schedule. But, they ain't crazy. They ain't gonna cut that Duke Carolina game. One
no,
home and
no,
one away. That ain't going nowhere. But
that's
yeah,
too much
Carolina.
money.
And what I'm really happy is I'm happy for Hubert Davis. Just because being what year one you go to the national championship, and then the next year they're trying to run them out of Chapel Hill. I'm just like, come on, man. The guys have got to execute, and it ain't always the coach's fault. They don't. You get out, and then all of a sudden, and you think about this, and I know as we get ready to segment out of this, but you think about Caleb Love transferred to Arizona, and he goes out
Hmm.
there, and he's a player of the year in the conference. But
Yeah.
he struggled when him and RJ Davis could not exist on the same team, which was a tragedy. Coming off such
Hmm.
a great year, but he was an exceptional player and went out there and he had success, and it just shows you, sometimes you got to turn the page and let a kid roll. But yeah, Carolina basketball is back for sure.
Then I'll say one last point. We'll move on after this. Is the thing about the reason why they couldn't exist on the same thing because what the problem was is Hubert Davis. Well, I will give him this one criticism. He should establish one of them as being the main point guard.
Right.
All that back and forth thing because you got to think the Roy Williams days they had it was Raymond Felton. It was it was Ed Cota. It was
Woo.
who what I'm saying it was who else was it? It was couple other players, but whoever was the point guard for Carolina, it was Kendall Marshall, players
Mm.
like that. You know what I'm saying? They was the point guards. You
Correct.
know what I'm saying? And of course, unless they got in foul troubles on the bench getting a breather, when they came
They
out,
would.
the ball
Yep.
was in their hand
Yep.
90% of the time. But when he had Caleb Love and he had had RJ Davis, they flip flopping back and forth and it's throwing off the timing and it's throwing off, how you run the offense. You know what I mean? So I think that's what if you notice now with the point guard they got now, he brings the ball up
Yep.
almost every single time.
Yep.
You know what
That's
I'm
correct.
saying? Unless
That's
Seth
a good
Trimble's out
assessment.
there with him, and Seth Trimble may bring it up every now and then, but Seth Trimble's not really a point guard. You
No.
know what I'm saying? He's
Right.
more of a combo. He's more like a Marcus Smart type in the NBA. You know what I mean? Give you some defense, give you some plays here and there, but he's not really a setup guy like the guy we got now. But anyway, we'll move on. Let's get to the little bit of NFL a little bit. You know what I
Uh,
mean? And I just want to say, what is your feeling so far? Because we a little bit, pretty much we passed the halfway mark. So just give me a assessment of what you
yeah.
think. Uh, uh,
Yeah, that's a great question, and here's where I go with that. Is last weekend after all those games was over, and I said you cannot tell me that they don't just pick and choose when they gonna play. That's just what
yeah,
they
yeah.
do. That's just what they do. All right,
How
well I
you
see we
doing,
get
sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing? Can y'all hear me?
yes
Yeah, I
sir.
can hear you.
I had to put my headphones in. I'm at a softball field for my daughter, so I went back to the truck. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
okay, 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 okay. Yeah, so we'll try to get some questions with you a little bit. We've been rolling for about 25 minutes now, so we'll try
Uh,
to get as much of your story out of the way that we can.
okay, my
So
my bad. I think our time zones are different or something. So I was waiting for 8:30.
okay, where you at?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
You
in
in Texas,
Houston.
right? You in Houston. You in
Texas.
Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
H
so we just
down.
okay, so we get right into your story then, and basically just kind of tell us, who you are we know you're a coach, athletic director. So just tell us a little bit about your program out there in Houston.
So I took over a program that's a low income program. It's not so much inner city, but it's about as close as you can get. We're not really suburb. We're not really inner city. We're kind of stuck in the middle. Um, we're you know, we're a program that's been you know down for a few years, probably a couple decades. When I took over, we had a varsity team and a freshman team. We didn't have a JV team. Now year four, we suited up about 50 JV kids, about 55 freshmen, and then we suited out about 51 varsity. So the numbers
Wow.
are up. Uh, we had the best year in school history this year. Not school history. I'm sorry. In the last 25 years, we've had one of the best years. Just in terms of who we played, who we beat. And and I tell people it's 4-6. That's where we went, but it's a different kind of 4-6 if you just know where we came from and where we've been. We don't start with the kids that grow up playing little league and all that. Uh, and if we do, they're not really on that exposure level like some of these other little leagues. It's probably just local. Um, a lot of times our kids don't start playing football till seventh grade, so it's behind the eight ball, but we try to catch them up as much as we can, especially in the weight room.
Okay,
Wow.
okay, okay. So back because okay, Ray Ban, that's one of the schools that was kind of big back in the day, right? They had like a major program where they were, they
So
had some major players back in the day, right?
yeah, so we've had some players go to TCU, go to offered by Baylor. Some we've had D1 guys, but that was a lot. That was like before they split the school. So we used to
Mm.
be three high schools, we used to be three high schools in Pasadena ISD, and that was back in the day. Then we were at four. Now we're at five. Since 2004, we're at five high schools. So
Wow.
when they
Okay.
opened up the fifth high school, I took a lot of kids from our zone, and really took a lot of the more affluent kids, if that makes sense. Kids that
Yeah.
kind of had
Yeah.
the money to train and eat right on
Mm,
the, things like that. So
wow.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you one more question before I throw it over to Coach Goins. So how hard is it, or how much work is it for you to have to be the coach and the athletic director at the same time? So because you are athletic director for all the sports or just football?
all the sports. So it's tough to juggle. I guess you could say planning. You could juggle meeting times. Uh, but for me, I just support my coaches. I'm not a micromanager, as in you were hired to do a job as a head coach. I'm gonna trust you to do the job. When I
Mm-hmm.
step in is when stuff hits my desk that you're not taking care of business. That's when I need to step in. And for me, I have some great coaches that I rarely have to do that. Um, a lot of times it's just maybe a memo or something. Get on your paperwork. Make sure you're taking care of your kids. Make sure your kids are monitored. Um, but for me, it's hard during football season because you want to get the football part right, but you don't want to feel like you're neglecting your other sports while they're getting in off season, getting ready to go. But now at this time, now that football season's over, it's easier for me to, maybe walk through an athletic period, see what they're doing, just chat with my coaches, and just figure out what they need, or anything like that.
Okay. Go ahead, Coach Goins.
All right, so Coach Man, so again, appreciate your time being on and on the night with us. And I know H time. I've been to Houston a couple times in my life, and that ain't no small potatoes. So yeah,
No.
so if you don't, and people don't understand what we call it realignment, because I live in
Yeah.
Virginia, and when they come in and they'll say, all right, we opened up this school, and now the border goes here, and
Mhm.
it's funny sometimes how they'll take that magic pen and they'll swoop this,
Mhm.
and the next thing you know, like you said, you get some premier athletes going to a different school, or they given a choice because a new school opens
Mhm.
and say, hey, you can go to new school. But what was your success in order to, or what did you apply to be able to get your numbers up when you first took over the program?
So when I took over the program, the first thing I did was hit the middle schools.
Mm,
Uh, where we're at, we have what you would call open enrollment, to where if a kid from my zone wanted to go to a different high school, he would just have to put in an application. My principal would have to approve it, and then the principal of that other school would have to approve it, and then the kid can go to that other high school if he wants to. So, uh, we were losing a lot of kids. We were losing a lot of kids because there was no representation. There was no coaches going to the middle school showing their faces. Since I got here, this is my fourth year. The middle school coaches, those are my guys. Those are my right hand men. I got their numbers. They're on my Facebook. They're everything, and I'm in contact with them all the time about our kids, which ones are zoning me, and just making sure that I'm the voice that they're hearing every day, or I'm the voice they hear at least twice a week. Uh, and talking to one of my, a few of my middle school coaches, they're like, "Coach, you're the first coach." One coach has been there since the '90s, and he said, "Coach, you're the first coach that has stepped foot in here more than at least two or three times a year." And I'll probably do that by the first couple weeks of school. I've already been there three times, three or
wow.
four times.
Mm.
So uh, we go to the basketball games too. It doesn't stop at football. I go support
Sure.
my kids. They go play basketball, track, cross country, and all that. Uh, because the kids just want to know that you care, and
Wow.
if you show that you care, you're able to do some great things. And my first head coaching job, it was funny. I had a memory pop up on my Facebook today, really before I logged in, and my first head coaching job was in inner city Houston. When I walked in, I had 19 kids in the program.
Wow.
When
Mm.
I left, we left it with 78 kids working out in off season, and
Okay.
it just hit in the hallways. And what's crazy is I left, and there was kids still there that I had got out of the hallways to go play, and they all ended up staying all 3 or 4 years, played football even after
Wow.
I left. And a couple of them have thanked me. They said, if you'd have never just talked to me in the hallways, coach, I probably would have never experienced this. and
Mhm.
you got to just get in your own hallways, get in your own neighborhoods. Little league football teams, they're regularly at our school on Saturdays, either having games, having a practice, something. I open it up. I build relationships with little league coaches. I like to host a little league clinic where we talk football. And I tell my football coaches, don't talk to them like you think you're better than them just because you're a high school coach, whatever. I said a lot of those guys know ball. They just choose to coach, younger kids. and
Yep.
and then and then the other thing is, don't overcomplicate it either, because their level of ball with those kids, they don't need to have all these different coverages and all. I said, they gotta cover gaps and go.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I said break it down to easy football, you know.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. When you were telling that story, because I coached high school football back in the day,
Mhm.
and when I got to the high school, there were players just like you in the hallway that should have been playing.
Yeah.
And when you were telling that story, I can remember I would park by the gym and come through the gym and come up the main hall to go to the office and check my mailbox before school started. And there was three or four guys always hanging out in the hallway, and I just started sitting down there talking to them in the mornings. And next thing you know, boom, they end up playing
Yeah.
football. So that's there's nothing like investing in time. So let me ask you this before I kick it back to Connie. So if you had a room full of brand new coaches,
Mhm.
what would be the number one thing that you tell them that they really need to do as relates to their success on and off the field?
For me is make sure you know you're here for the right reasons, and make sure you know where you're at.
Phew.
Make sure you know your clientele. Make sure you know what type of kid we have. A lot of our kids, we don't have those kids that are ready made to go, to the next level, Division 1 all the time. They may have size, they may have natural speed, but they're not developed. So just
Mm,
know that we're going to develop kids, and that's emotionally and physically. And be ready to love on our kids and be ready to do what we got to do. You know, whether it be, sometimes we got to feed kids, sometimes we got to give them rides. I mean, that's just part of it. And I tell my coaches, you know what you signed up for when you interview with me.
wow, that's excellent. Iconic, what you got, man?
Yeah. So
Think we might have, I think he just dropped off. But you know what? That's so true, Coach, man. When you sit there and I remember I had a Volkswagen Rabbit. And when I'd
Mhm.
come out, guys would
oh,
all be standing around. Are you back in?
my
Go ahead,
bad.
man.
Yeah, I'm back in. My bad. My
That's
bad. It
right.
was my fault.
You
So
good?
no. So basically, what I was gonna ask you too, as far as being an athletic director, and you got
Mhm.
all these different sports, and I was gonna ask you this one because we a couple of weeks ago we had a guy. He coached women's wrestling in high school, and I said I didn't know that was a thing. So do y'all have that out there in Houston
So
at your
we don't.
school?
So in Houston and in Texas, we do have wrestling, boys and girls, but we don't have it in my district. Uh, but we,
Got you.
we have swimming, we have water polo, we have powerlifting, boys and girls. We got boys and girls soccer, softball, baseball, boys and girls track, boys and girls cross country, and then boys and girls basketball. And we have golf too, and tennis.
Wow.
Okay, so what is the sport that kind of lacking the most as far as funding at your school?
Uh, Man, I would say a lot of us, because we're going through budget cuts right now. So, they had to cut some money from our athletics programs, where I had to go around and cut from each program just to make sure we make ends meet as a department. And
Wow.
so I think all programs are suffering right now, and a lot of it is not our administration's fault. It's the state. It's the state's fault on some things that could be done better. Um, some things are politically motivated on why we hold money back from the schools and from each cities and the districts. But right now we're just kind of going through a little thing in Texas where budgets are tight. Budgets are
Hmm.
tight, and enrollment is going down. You know, whether it be kids just not going to school, or the political climate that we're in, where we got a lot of kids, especially schools that used to be or that are predominantly Hispanic. A lot of enrollment has gone down in those schools.
Okay, so Just to get, because I got a question, it gets to bother me. Just give you a quick history if you don't know about our show. So
Uh-huh.
910 Source was kind of created for the underdog, for schools and for
Hmm.
programs, so we can interview and put a spotlight on kids that come from smaller schools, smaller programs, smaller cities, the coaches or whatever. So that's just a quick synopsis of it all.
Yes,
And
sir.
so I would always, sometimes we get those kids on here and they would break all kind of records, at their school, and then they would end up
Hmm.
getting, recruited by, D2 schools or whatever, or
Hmm.
JUCO schools, and when we scratching our head like, how is that possible? So as an athletic director, when you see a superstar player, you know that player has a chance to be able to get recruited by a major school. What do y'all put in place to kind of help that kid navigate? Whether is it video, whether it's letters, what do y'all do to try to help spotlight that kid or those kids that have opportunity to maybe get out this situation?
So we have our software called Huddle, where we're able
Mhm.
to watch film, create highlight tapes. I designate one coach as our recruiting coordinator, and his job, whenever he's not coaching football and not teaching, is to reach out to colleges, reach out, share out our top. I say our top five, top 10 kids highlights, just so we can get the interest and get them in the building. Like I tell you, if we can get them in the building, we can highlight the rest of the kids.
Mm.
Uh, and he gets their GPAs, he gets their transcripts, and he sits with kids and makes sure that we're reaching out to the right coaches. You know, uh, unfortunately, right now, if you're a senior still looking for a Division 1 offer, it's probably one in a million right now. You need to be
Yeah,
looking at NAIA, D2, D3, D2, because that's the new JUCO. That's you do your year, do your 2 years, get in the portal, move up, portal up. That's what I call it. Um, for me, I have a friend of mine. His name's Carlos Williams. He is our local 7-on-7 coach, and we have a young man who's recruiting, should be better. Um, for some reason, he's not getting the love he deserves. He's also a track kid. I mean, he triple jumps 44, and he long jumps 26, 27. So he's out there. He's got good numbers. Uh, Runs a legit high 4.5. He's a receiver type kid. So our local 7-on-7 coach and I, we partner up. We talk, we text. What schools are DMing him? He'll let me know, and you know he he uh he's another a lifeline for me too, because I know some coaches look down on 7-on-7 coaches. I think if y'all work together and y'all create a line of communication, it could really help kids. Instead of trying to be enemies with each other, let's work together. Let's build a foundation. Let's build a program together. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't push people away. If people are around my kids, I really want to know, and I want to make sure they do have my kid's best interest. Uh, but I'm not going to sit here and tell a kid you can't work with this guy, you can't work with that guy. I just tell them, hey, have them come talk to me. Let me get to know them, just so I know that my kid's being taken care of outside of school.
Wow.
okay, jump back on in here, coach.
Man, I tell you what, that's tremendous, a tremendous asset, and what a blessing for all the kids that under your tutelage and guidance. Because again, none of us is smart as all of us. So again, just
Hmm.
great partnership to be able to understand that process. Because a lot of times people do, coaches do wall up. I always use that phrase
Yeah.
and think that hey, I'm the only coach that no. I mean, every as that kid transitions, that kid's gonna have other coaches in his life.
Hmm.
But again, just hats off for that for you taking down that road. So here's where I want to go. What when coach is not coaching and coach is not having his AD hat on, and I know you said you with your daughter at the softball. What do you do to get away from it all, to unplug, to unwind, and turn the huddle off, and just kind of get what do you do to relax?
First day I go to the gym. I used to be a big time in the powerlifting and everything. But a lot of people, well, people in Houston know, but a lot of people don't know is I had a heart attack at 33 years old on the football field.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, we were playing my former school, and it was a close game. Yeah, I joke around. I said, "Well, I guess I trained them jokers up good because uh, they played hard, and it was a one score game that we won. But it was so emotional because I invested a lot in my kids in the inner city. so it was tough. And we had to play them in my first year at my new school, and I had a heart attack on the field. So, that changed my life. And luckily my heart's good. It's just I had a clogged artery. I didn't know about it, and the stress from the game triggered it. So for me, I changed how I live. I really stay home a lot, just kind of hang out with my family. Uh, I'll barbecue. But the gym for me, I go do cardio, sit in the sauna. I joke around and tell my football kid I get my old man on. I don't do the big heavy weights no more, nothing like that. I need to go sweat. Um, for me, I like to drive. What's crazy is just go drive around for about 30 minutes and relax. I like to think. Music's my big thing, and it depends on the mood. I can go from rap to R&B, country, some old school Spanish music. But I grew up R&B. I grew up R&B, man, and that's really my go-to at night. I go drive around, that BET After Dark and all that. That's what I grew up on. So uh, uh I just like to just jam and just kind of be in my thoughts sometimes and just relax.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so important. And we all to be able to cut away and get away and just kind of recharge and replay to stay focused. But again, it's just tremendous job of what you're getting done down there. And it just as a former high school coach and sitting here and as you say that, and it's so important. And then of course, and like my situation now is my former guys are grown, they got families,
Mhm.
they got kids, and I'm in Virginia. When I go back home to North Carolina, and I may run into a couple of them, or they'll call me and say, "Hey, coach," and I'm just like, and there's nothing like that. There's nothing more gratifying than running into those old players, and like I said, they're married and they have kids, and the things that you invested. So they're just, I'm just kind of like, dipping into your future and just letting you
Yeah.
know, as time continues to evolve, everything that you put your hands to. It's the seeds that you're sowing will come back to you. So, Icon, what you got, man?
Well, I mean, I want to ask you. You said you had your girls a softball or soccer
Mhm.
game.
Softball, yes, sir.
Softball. So what age is she at? If I may ask.
12 years old. She'll be 13 in January.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
got, and
Okay.
then, well, and then me and my wife had the crazy idea to start over after about to have a teenage. So we got a 2-year-old now.
Okay.
So,
Uh,
so I'm gonna be
no,
on my toes. I'm gonna be on my toes for at least another 16 years. So,
Okay, because reason why I ask you that is because I don't know, like because even like last year we actually interviewed one of the kids who won the Little League World Series. So
mhm.
if you ever wanted your daughter to get that experience of actually doing an interview, you know what I mean. But we interview kids at all levels or
Okay.
whatever. If the parents is willing to do it, just to kind
Hmm.
of get that experience or whatever. And we handle everybody the same. We don't disrespect. We ain't gonna ask nothing crazy. You know what I mean? We're gonna make it as comfortable as possible. So if you ever want to have your daughter get that experience of being on a platform like this, getting an interview, depending on where she wants to go, like if it's something that she wants to take serious with her sports world, kind of give her get kind of get her going early. Just let us know. You know what I mean?
Okay,
But
I appreciate that.
yeah, so I hate we ain't got more time because I know so like I said the time got thrown off, but I appreciate you coming on. And what we'll do is I'm gonna get with Jacob and we're gonna bring you back on to really get into some conversations or whatever,
Yeah.
and probably get more into some NIL stuff and some transfer portal stuff and all that kind of good stuff too. So, but I appreciate you coming on, giving us your time, kind of give us an insight of your program, what y'all out there doing. And like I tell anybody that come on, if there's any way we can help out any form of fashion, we're promoting your thing or any game or everything what's coming up. We actually want to get into actually traveling and starting to do the
Mhm.
media part of these of teams and stuff. That's what we really want to get into. So that's something that we're working on now, trying to get some sponsors so we can kind of move around and build a team and start going around the country and helping teams, do media because we do have like TV opportunities that we might be able to put, spotlight a team here and there on TV and something coming soon.
Okay.
So that would be
Okay.
something that we would definitely want to we make it help maybe put a more spotlight on your team and help drive more revenue and things of that nature. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, but yeah, I appreciate you coming on. If there's anything that you want to plug, a website, a game, whatever, come on. Just just go ahead and the floor is yours.
Again, man, I just appreciate y'all having me on. My bad about the times getting
Oh,
messed up.
no,
I
no problem
uh,
about that.
but for me, man, it's just for them coaches that feel like they got to work a little harder, that they maybe can't just throw the ball out there and just run plays like maybe they feel like other coaches can do because that maybe got more talented kids or faster kids. Man, just keep working, man, because when you get that win, when you get that season that you walk into that season of winning with the kids that people thought you couldn't do it with, man, it just means the world. It really does. Uh, there's gonna be bad. There's bad with how they say more money, more problems. You got more talent, you got more problems. But
Mm,
you know, when with that being said, man, any coach that's kind of going through it, um, maybe you only got 25 kids in your program because that's what you're working with. Those 25 kids believe in you, man. So give
mm.
them your best. Don't worry about the ones that ain't there. Take care of the ones that are there for you. That's what I tell people.
Yes,
You
sir.
know.
Yes, sir.
That's excellent.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and good luck to your whole season and all your teams. And let us know if you win a trophy or two. You know what I'm saying? Just, throw it out. Yeah, man. I'm, this sport won this one or something. So any big accolades y'all got, any awards, just let us know. You know what I mean? And maybe we could put it on our website and stuff of that nature for you,
Well,
whatever things like that.
I'll tell you this. This year we broke. This year we broke a 12-year losing streak to one of our district rivals. We
Wow.
hadn't beat. This is my fourth year, but we hadn't beaten them since 2013 or something like that, 2012. And
Okay.
in that time they decided to make a trophy for the rivalry. So on the trophy
Okay.
it just says their name for the last 12 years. Well, guess what? We won it this year. I put our name on that bad boy. You got 12 names on the 13th one. It says Sam
I know
Rayburn.
that's right.
So we got that. And you want to know what's crazy is they're moving down a division next year. So they're not going to
Mm,
be, they're in our school district, but they're moving down a division. They got lesser kids now. So,
Oh wow.
uh, we get to joke around and say, well, I guess the trophy's going to be ours for the foreseeable future because we ain't playing each other for a while. So,
I know that's
so
right.
we get the
excellent.
I know that's right.
last laugh on it. Yes, sir.
Okay,
So,
well, I
all
appreciate
right,
you coming on, sir. And you have
all
a
right,
blessed and wonderful night, and good luck
all
to
right. Y'all be
your daughter
blessed.
tonight in the game.
All
All
right.
right,
All
thank
right.
you.
All right. You
All right.
guys
You're
have a great
welcome.
one.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.
Have a good night.